Hey guys, welcome back. Milan Tech Sales here with another student success story video. And today I'm interviewing Kevin, who's only 20 years old and he recently landed a 50K OTE a year tech sales job just in 2 weeks of being inside of the Break into Tech Accelerator program. He successfully landed a 50K a year tech sales job. And today you're going to know all about it. So you may not have heard about me before. I've been in tech sales for the last 5 years, and I co-founded Break into Tech about 2 years ago. What we do inside of Break into Tech is we help people break into the tech sales industry from underprivileged backgrounds and people from non-traditional backgrounds. We've helped over 100 people break into the tech sales industry over the last 2 years. We've helped graduates, experienced people, teachers, nurses, people that worked in finance and accounting, and everybody in between. Kevin is one of the youngest students that we've ever helped break into the tech sales industry. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So before we dive into things, Kevin, we would love to, I'm sure the audience would love to learn a little bit more about your background and where you're from and what you're doing. So do you want to just tell people a little bit about your work experience, education, where you grew up, what you're doing right now before we dive into the actual questions?
Cool. So a bit about myself. I'm 20 years old, as Milan mentioned. Just decided that university really wasn't for me, so decided to take a leap of faith into the world of sales after having a small experience, having a bit of what it's like to be in those waters, and having coming from a bit of like a technical college background. I decided to leverage both of those things, and I realized tech sales for me after coming across Milan on his TikTok page. Probably some of you watching now from the TikTok page. I realized this is more for me and decided to take the step into learning what is Break into Tech and how I can help others.
Awesome. So let me just ask a follow-up question. So you went to university and then you left, right? Or what? Tell us about the technical degree that you did and stuff like that.
Cool. So in terms of university, I did start off with a foundation year in software engineering after in college doing a T-level in digital development and designing. So everything, so essentially what it is software engineering. Right. So from the back end to the front end, developing it, the whole systems. And then I did an internship in that within my module as a part of the requirements. So I did 316 hours, I believe, for the top of my head. It's about 4 to 6 weeks. And then from there, I realized, I'm not sure if this is really a role that's suited for me, right, as I felt like I wasn't using the skills to the best of my ability. So I carried on the traditional path and going to university because I wasn't too sure where I was heading. And then after a while, I came across a sales role. Yeah. And then that's how so what I do now, I do a senior customer service advisor at Virgin Media O2. Okay. So that's what I've been doing.
Nice. So you've been doing that for the last few months?
Yes, I think 7 months from the top of my head.
Nice. So you had some customer facing work experiences and you were exposed to what sales and stuff is, right? And then how did you find out about tech sales? How did you get exposed to that world?
To be honest, I didn't know tech sales was a thing. I've heard it a few times.
Nobody does.
You mentioned a few other interviews. It's not a very big thing around here. It's bigger over in America, of course. But essentially what it was, I just thought it was the best of both worlds, especially after seeing your TikToks and seeing what it is and comparing it to door-to-door salaries. It's a different ballpark, really.
So you basically found out about tech sales by bumping into me on TikTok, me and Laura on TikTok.
Literally just bumped into one of your videos.
Amazing.
Like TikTok, how it is. I interrupted one of them. And then I think after a while, I think you outreached to me. I think it was February time. And then I was like, right, I'm not too sure about this. I had to think it over. And then I realized I was setting my decision of leaving. And then I just took the chance.
Amazing. So a really good background, a really good intro. I would love to tell the audience about the offer that you landed. So you don't have to mention the company name. I believe it's the largest music tech company in the world or something like that. But I would love to basically dive a little bit deeper into your offer. So from what I know, you landed a sales development representative role at this company. The OTE, so on target commissions, is 50,000. So if you hit all of your sales targets, you could walk away with £50,000. Obviously, that's not guaranteed. Yeah. You may not hit those numbers, but if you do, and you make 50 grand at 20, based in Manchester, I think that's in a way life-changing money, right? So tell us a little bit about the offer that you got.
So regarding the offer, it started off with a good healthy basic, so 25k basic. And in terms of how the OTE works, it's essentially based on obviously hitting your targets. And then if you hit targets consistently for a period amount of time, your basic actually goes up as well. Okay. So every 3 months, you get £1,000 pay rise.
Wow.
in terms of hitting targets. So they're very good on the progression side of things and the financial aspects. In terms of everything else regarding the company, like you said, the global leaders in audio branding and marketing and anything to do with on hold to bespoke solution for businesses. And yeah, so it's a full in-house solution that serves the likes of Coca-Cola, Adidas, Continental, Samsung, every big company, you name it, it's probably signed with them.
Okay, really good brand name, really big company. I'm sure they're gonna have.
Yeah.
I remember you texted me on WhatsApp and you were like, "Hey man, I've landed an offer." I was pretty shocked because you were only in the program for like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, right. So how it happened is I was like, okay. I remember I think the first day I joined, it was a coaching call, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And you told me my LinkedIn needed work. So it did indeed need work. And it worked out quite well, to be honest, because a lot of recruits like I just capitalized the opportunity to get on call with them.
Do you remember what date you joined the program?
It's no more, longer than 3 weeks. So I think it was like the 7th, those lines, 7th.
Of March, right?
Yeah, or was it 9th? So I got a new car at 8, and then, yeah, 3 days later there, joined.
Right, okay. 2 to 3 weeks after, you basically had loads of interviews. How many interviews did you have?
Actually, like,
companies.
including different companies.
Yeah.
5 different companies, including all the processes for like general, obviously, for the last stages, all those counting. So that's quite a few. It's quite intense because I've been applying for like, and I was outreach to recruiters, and then as you can imagine, they'd just be ringing your phone all day. And yeah, jumping on calls with them, and that's been the major key to success, really, outreach to recruiters.
Awesome. So you landed one offer. It took you about 2 to 3 weeks, and you also in total had about 12 interviews.
Yeah.
Amazing. The reason I say that's amazing is because we've had other people in the past and people that I've spoken to, people outside of Break into Tech, and they tell me they've been looking into tech or tech sales or just sales roles for a year and they still haven't landed a role. So, what do you think made the difference for you? Like, what's so different about your approach that made you quickly get a role so quickly?
I would say, obviously, I leverage my background, of course, coming from a tech background, leverage my small experience in sales. And then from that background, I just use the advantage that I know this is what I want to do. This is the initiative that I took. And then all the recruiters really want to hear is why sales. And that's essentially what it is to every recruiter. And then once I've nailed those 3 points, everything else links back into those. So it got quite easy to pass the first 2 stages. And then really it just company research.
Agree. Pretty much every tech sales interview, you're going to get asked why tech sales, why this company, and company research is obviously super important as well. So, what were you doing before you joined?
Also, a funny story actually. I applied for this company, I got a role. In terms of that, no, I just applied like every other applicant, really, just sending a CV, hope for the best. And turns out my CV was a pain point I need to get fixed. And says my LinkedIn. I never even used LinkedIn beforehand as well, so I just made one before and never used it. I can obviously see the importance of that and just the networking in general.
Got it. So you were trying a little bit, and you said you applied to the actual company that you're going to work for now 3 times before you got rejected.
Yeah.
Your LinkedIn, they DM'd you.
Of course, yeah.
That's so interesting. I had an experience like that with a company. So my first year in tech sales in 2021, I remember applying to the same company so many times, getting rejected. And then one day the recruiter emailed me saying, "Hey, we would love to." It was a different recruiter, but she emailed me saying, "Hey, we would love to interview you." And it was so ironic. I'm like, has anything changed in such a short amount of time that now you think I'm qualified? It was just because I optimized my LinkedIn profile and I was posting content and they saw that and they're like, hang on a second, this person's good, right? Even if I didn't have the experience. Did you want to work in tech sales? Like, what about tech sales that made you want to leave what you were doing to go into this industry?
From speaking from like other things, don't get me wrong, it's a great career for those who like it. I find it quite tedious and not as rewarding as for someone that want to have like entrepreneurship. I want to build a business. I want to do this. Those skills don't necessarily help with that.
Yeah,
I found sales as a way to obviously. We all need to talk. We all need to liaise with customers. We all need to do stuff like that. And it was essentially building interpersonal skills. And the fact that I can progress so fast based on my performance, like let's say that a team holds you back, or financial aspects were great. And say it's tech, something I do like, didn't enjoy the sector or the role I was in, you could say. But it's a field I do like and the industry I do want to be in, as it's the fastest growing industry. Everyone wants to be in tech.
Yeah. So it was a mixture of you could make more money in sales than in actual software engineering, it was more interesting to you, less tedious, and it will help you build the skills up that you will need to build your own business.
Of course.
Yeah. No, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, just other things like, if I stayed on my path now, I would leave to be at this job I'm at now.
Right.
If I don't get a software engineering job, I thought this is the faster route to get to where I want to be.
Right. How, curious to learn more about what you were saying there. So you want to build your own business, or do you want to progress in tech sales? What are your career goals right now? Do you have any idea of where you want to be when you're older, like you're 25, 30?
Yeah. Yeah, I do have an idea where I want to be. I run a successful business. I want to be a multi-millionaire by 25, 26.
Of course.
That money motivation helps because it's something I did enjoy doing from door to door, and I found myself quite good at it. And I realized I can leverage that to propel my position I am now to be in a better place, so I can fund that startup where I can do everything I want to be in location freedom, financial freedom, and you can work on getting that time freedom from there.
Awesome. Your background is similar to Pav, actually. Pav landed an offer. I think he's in Leicester or something. I think he's 23. He also dropped out of uni. I don't know if you know.
To me,
to be fair, even though my first ever job out of uni was in sales, but it just wasn't in tech sales. It was a marketing agency. Terrible pay, no growth, no OTE. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing here, man? Even 5 years ago, I had friends of mine making 100K plus a year, 21, 22. And I'm like, I need to go and do what they're doing. What the hell am I doing here? Right? Making 30K a year is pathetic in 2020. And it's pathetic right now, right? Like making 50 to 100K a year in 2025, like, I'm going to struggle to survive, man. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I left sales as well. So what did, like you said, it was really intense. You had loads of interviews, you were doing a lot of work, and you also had a job, right? And you still have a job.
Yeah.
What did a typical week look like for you when you were inside of Break Into Tech in the actual program?
In terms of the actual program, so obviously I had a work time. My shifts, my rota changes every week. Kind of worked out in my favor the weeks I had all the interviews, to be honest. Typical days, I had work, let's say I had a 9-5 shift that week. I came home before I got onto the 7 p.m. like the Thursday course, for example, throughout the day. As sometimes I'm hybrid, so I can get away with texting with LinkedIn recruiters all day and then try to schedule calls. So I just have to get like a diary out and schedule all the calls. And I have to get a new diary because I'll fill that one up quite quick. He went and then I just focused on getting a role as soon as possible, and that was my main goal, to get the money's worth, really.
Yeah, I really like that. I like the way that you did it, and I think you're the second fastest ever student from Break Into Tech to land a tech sales job. Another guy in Germany, his name is Pakchak. He was also very young. He was also 20. He also didn't go to uni. Also a software engineer, by the way. He taught himself how to be a software engineer. He landed an amazing offer. I think it was 60K OTE, 40K base, remote, fully remote. And he also did it in 2 weeks. He ended up landing 6 offers because he was doing the same method that I'm teaching you guys instead of Break Into Tech right now, which is networking, coffee chats, building your brand on LinkedIn, etc. So the reason I like this approach is because it's always about the end goal. Like a lot of people that join the program, they're just wasting time, like doing this, doing that. I'm like, what are you doing, man? The point of the program is to help you get a tech sales job, not to make you an expert on AI or fintech or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? So a lot of people waste time. Like, we like what you did, and a great case study for other people. 30 and they're still struggling to land a tech sales job, and you did it in 2 weeks, right? So that's awesome. The most useful part of being inside of the Break Into Tech community, what helped you out the most?
The group calls, to be honest. Like, I didn't even get to join that many because I was in for like 2 weeks. But the group calls, most of the time, your questions, you have someone that's in front of you on the list of the questions or ask. So, and I remember the first day or so, was it Hira? She want to send me this position as well on LinkedIn.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Super supportive, and everyone wants the best for each other.
Awesome. So the group coaching calls as well as the community was basically what you found to be the most useful parts.
100%. Like, what you build is the best part. It's, of course, itself is great. And the press, that was really good as well because it helped me know where he's trying to take me to. And a lot of times you have to liaise with a recruiter, be on the same page with them because at the end of the day, they want their commission as well. And while following the steps, it made their job easier to put me through like employers. For example, like Brian, one of them, I skipped like stages. I went straight to where they both saw me, how I reacted, and then I got into the final stage interview just off that itself. So it does show to what it does work.
Yeah, I agree. The question I have for you is, why should people, especially right around your age bracket, 20 to 25, why should they consider working in tech sales? Like, what's in it for them? Why would you tell your younger self or your cousin or your brother they have to consider working a job in tech sales and not another industry?
Why tech sales? So that's a good question. I would say the financial freedom you get from it is great, especially for, let's say, entry level position at SDR, and the opportunity to be an account executive like years and 100K salary. You don't get that anywhere else apart from like C-suite executives, really.
Yeah.
There's kind of, and with something that you can develop the interpersonal skills and the confidence you build with just talking to people and be able to just talk your way out of it, like you could say. Like I said, it's one of those careers that reward the people that work hard, not so much as the 2% increase per year you get at your normal job.
Yeah, just thinking about a story that came to mind when you were just saying that, right? It's fascinating how in tech sales, getting to 100K a year within 2 years at 22 or 23 or 24 is possible, like an everyday thing. It happens to everyone. Whereas in the reality of the world and even in the UK, most people are stuck on 30K a year. Like the average wage in the UK is £30,000 a year. So you could have a 45-year-old dude in Manchester, in Birmingham, whatever, in London, stuck on a 30K a year salary, which is so pathetic, right? Whereas in tech sales, you can actually get to 100K a year in tech sales within 2 years. And I remember my partner, Laura, she was obviously working in law. She qualified as a solicitor. She worked in the industry for 8 years. And she was telling me how one of the equity partners at this law firm was making a grand total of 100K a year. And I literally was just like laughing. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is a joke. She's making 100K a year at 50 as an equity partner at a huge law firm. Obviously, that's a shit law firm, right? It's not a shit law firm, but that's like a medium law firm. Obviously, the best law firms, they're going to be multimillionaires. But I was just like, I was doing that when I was 24, 25. That's nothing. So I think that's probably the biggest reason why people should consider tech sales, like the money aspect.
100%. I agree with that because one of the main reasons for me joining tech sales.
And sales is also very true as well. Like public speaking, network. Yeah. I cut you off. Were you going to say something?
I was going to say sales.
Right.
Crazy to me, to be honest. For example, this role, if I hit my targets, I get a base increase. I get £1,000 worth of vouchers on top of that as well. Almost kind of a no-brainer, really.
What advice would you give others? Like they've made up their mind, they want to get into tech sales. What would be like 3 points of advice to help them get into tech sales faster? What would you tell them?
My advice: be impatient with your inputs and be patient with your outputs. Because at the end of the day, the more you do it, the more repetition you get. Even if the first, like say, 3-4 interviews don't go as well, don't go to plan, at least you know what to expect from the other interviews. And it's just repetition at the end of the day. And just make sure a good rapport with a recruiter. That's what helped me the most. And they're the ones that stick their neck out in these interviews.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So a lot of output, don't focus too much. Sorry, a lot of input, don't focus too much on the output because you can't control the output. So do as many applications as possible, do as much networking as possible. And if you fail at interviews, just keep going.
Of course.
And just really the relationship with recruiters because you're right, get a cut if you get hired. So you both on the same team. Say to other people who are considering the break into tech community, why should they join? What advice would you give them about break into tech? What would you tell them?
What advice would you give about break into tech? I'll say the community is great. First and foremost, if you're looking for a network to get into a role, this is the place to go to. I said, like I mentioned earlier, everyone's so supportive. Like, you join to even the community group, everyone's out here, everyone's trying to make connections, make friends, and essentially we're all here to help each other. And it's in your best benefit to be in the best team to get you there, to be honest. Going around the bushes, might as well get the right path straight to the goal.
Awesome. Now, diving a little bit deeper into your goals, right? So, do you have a personal goal and a business goal in 2025 that you would tell us about?
Yeah, personal goal is, I'll say, I'll buy a new car. No, it's got a new one.
Nice.
Put the deposit down for mom's house.
Okay.
Got quite a few goals, and sales one of the things that gets me there, really.
Mm-hmm. So, personal wise, get a new car. Did you say put a deposit down for your mom's house?
Yeah.
And then what about business wise? So, what goals do you have for your career?
Just get to account executive as fast as possible, really.
Okay.
So hit the ground running when I start on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're
then
starting on Monday?
Yeah.
Do you have to go into an office?
Yes, it's office-based probation, and then there's an option to go work from home as well. But to be honest, the office is 5 minutes away from me, so
That's
so
awesome.
exactly it.
Yeah, I always recommend people going into the office for your first 6 months because that's how you learn, right? Business/career goal is to get promoted to an account executive as soon as possible. So, for people that don't know, what does a sales development representative do on a day-to-day basis? What's the job? What are the skills required? Just educate people on that.
Cool. So what an SDR does, essentially, you're outreaching to potential C-suite executives. You're trying to get past the gatekeepers, the receptionists, speak to them, qualify them for a meeting. And once they sit the meeting and the account executive closes them, you get cut out of it. And essentially, you're just doing outreach, just picking up the phone, calling them, email, LinkedIn, that kind of thing, and qualifying them for a meeting, and you get paid for it.
Mm-hmm. Then what would you need to do to get promoted to an account executive?
Your targets, and so let's say, for example, hit 17 meetings sat in a month, and
is that
if I hit my target, yeah, that's my target. I mean, less than that the first few months, but
so what does it work out to per week in terms of your sales targets?
The first 3 months like 600 or something like that. So
a week, how many meetings do you have to book per week? Do you know?
Too short, to be honest, but it feels like what, that's 4 or 5, 5 or 6, yeah.
Okay, you have to book at least 4 to 6 meetings per week, basically.
Yeah, so just book 4 to 6 meetings, make sure they start looking into the account executive schedule, and then everything there is on their hands.
Got it. Okay. So then you obviously want to get promoted to an account executive. For people who don't know what an account executive is and how much they can make, what's your understanding of that so that we can educate people listening?
So the account executive, the best way to put it, I'll put an analogy like this. Anywhere from the defenders put the ball up top.
Yeah.
There's the striker that finishes it.
Yeah.
And the way to put it is, we're just booking a means for them to sit, and once they sit and close the deal, we get cut out of it.
So the SDRs and BDRs basically set appointments. The account executives close those deals, basically. They're the actual salespeople. You guys are the appointment setters.
Of course.
Got it. Okay. Awesome. That's most of my questions. It's on Monday. It was a pleasure to have you in the program. And, but feel free to reach out at any point. I would actually love to, because I did this before with a few other students, Chris, Brandon, after they landed their first ever tech sales job. So what I would love to do with you is maybe by the end of the year or maybe early next year, do another interview like this, see how you're getting on, see if you got promoted, see if you achieved your financial goals, your personal goals. And stay in community. If there's anything else that I can do to help, feel free to get in touch. I'm already talking to Pav every few days because he already started his job. So he was asking me some questions. Feel free to do that as well. If you want me to review your scripts, your cold emails, whatever, hit me up. Of
course, thank you very much. Well, thanks for having me on, man. Yeah, I've spoken to everyone and been inside the community for a short amount of time, but it was a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. And we will do an in-person event soon as well. So make sure, if you're available, you go to London, and we'd love to see you in person and stuff like that as well. But awesome, man. Thank you so much for making the time today. I've asked all of my questions. I don't really have any other questions, so I'll give you your time back. And again, congrats. Best of luck with the new role, and I hope really you really in 2025.
Likewise. Thank you very much. And hopefully everything keeps booming and breaking into tech.
Awesome, brother. Thank you, man. God bless.
Thank you.